Well, this is a goodbye video because I've sold my GTR and I guess I'm probably a little bit sad, but not sad at the same time because it's just kind of a step in the right direction. But this is definitely the best car I've ever owned. And I should have made some videos about it while I had it, but I guess better late than never. I'm gonna kind of just make this a saying goodbye review summary and all that stuff. So let's do a quick walk around. Sorry, I can't, the truck's in the way, so I can't go too far over here, but super silver, which is one of the best colors I've ever seen in person. Camera doesn't do it justice. I definitely drove her. Lots of nicks and stuff in the front bumper from driving. But yeah, it's a driver's car. I just put brand new tires on the back because I ran over a nail. So brand new rear tires. And the next guy's going to be really happy because I kept really good care of it. Let's jump inside. All right, let's start her up. Wow. Okay, so I know this is an abrupt halt to the video and how it was flowing, but unfortunately I was recording that video with my Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus, which has been very reliable for me in the past. It does really nice 1080p video. All of a sudden, huge audio video sync issue. I don't really know why it happened. I hope that it's just a one-time problem. I do have GoPros I should probably start using instead because the quality's better on them anyway, but you know, this is really disappointing because that video that I had recorded was my last day with my GTR and it's gone now. Today is December 4th and I sold it last Friday, which was I think December 1st or November 30th or something like that. So car is gone. I can't go back and refilm what I did in the car because I don't have it anymore. But I went back through the video. I wrote down all my notes about what I talked about, and we can still get the same information. It's just me talking to you in my computer chair at my computer instead of me being inside of the car. So there you go. At least you have to hear the cold start, and that's probably one of the best things anyway. So let's talk about what let's recap what I had spoke about in the video. So I owned my GTR for about 3 years. I think it was just a little bit shy of 3 years, and it was a good 3 years. It had about 21,100 miles on it at the time of me selling it last week. I believe I bought it with 13 or 14,000 miles, so yeah, I put on 7 or 8,000 miles over about 3 years, which isn't very much because the places I was driving it was mostly driving it to work, and my work's very close by, so that's cool. It was great. It was a great 8,000 miles in 3 years. I sold it to a really awesome dude. He is up in Orange County, and he's a business owner, and he had a son actually who was I shouldn't say was, he has a son who's I believe he said 17 or 18 years old, and he's a big PC gamer just like me, which is great. And he was into car. His son was into cars, and he was into cars, but I think he said he's more into muscle cars. But his son started talking about GTRs and kind of educated him on what the GTRs were, and then he decided he wanted to get one. And I gotta tell you, his son is one lucky kid because he's already gotten to drive it. And if I was that was the age where I became obsessed with GTRs. It was around 16 years old, 17 years old. That was like when I really was starting to get obsessed with them. And yeah, he's a lucky kid. And he's a PC gamer, so I have a lot in common with that kid, and the guy that bought the car too is an awesome guy, and have a lot in common with him as well. So hopefully they're already starting to do mods on it, putting a titanium exhaust on it, and all sorts of like tunes and stuff like that. So hopefully he's gonna be. I asked him to send me updates and pictures and stuff as time goes by. Hopefully he does that. Anyway, I took care of a couple things on the car before I gave it over to him. I had ran over like a big screw or a nail or whatever recently, and got brand new tires in the back. But there's still a light on. So the GTR, when you have a completely flat tire, it puts on a flat tire light, and you can't turn that light off at Discount Tire or any store or auto place or yourself in your driveway with a OBD2 sensor or whatever type of thing. You have to actually take it to the Nissan dealership, and it's actually complicated. I actually had the rep or whatever, the guy that came out to try to do it. He tried it 2 or 3 times out in the driveway, doing the same process he would do for most Nissans, I guess, which is like scanning each tire and then doing some. I think there was like a code thing he did, and then waiting a few minutes, and that didn't work yet. I guess for GTRs, it's a whole nother process. He had to take it into the garage and hook it up to the computer system there, and all anyway. Took a little bit longer than expected, but it was fine. They had a cool Nismo GTR in the showroom I got to look at while I was waiting. But so I got all that stuff taken. I got that taken care of. Got the car smog form. It passed very easily. Gassed it up to the full top and had it detailed for him too. So kind of had it like ready to go in a nice condition. So he was really happy when he got to take it from me. So the next thing is probably like the biggest topic or most controversial topic to talk about with this whole thing with the GTR, selling my GTR. I'm sure there are a lot of people that would be watching this that are thinking, you're an idiot, why did you sell your GTR? Or like maybe you're thinking like, sucks bro that you couldn't afford it anymore, or whatever, or thing that you want to say negative about it. And that's fine, you can have your opinions. But I want to explain my side of why I'm selling my GTR. So if this is the first video you've watched of mine, maybe you came here because it was about GTRs and that's what you're into. I have a lot of other videos about the McLaren 600 LT, and it is a really awesome car. Oh, that's actually, I guess it's right here. Sorry, I've got it on my screensaver. So that's the 600 LT. If you haven't seen it before, they actually just released, I think, the first 3 cars. I know that John Hennessy, the owner of Hennessy Performance, got his last week, I believe it was. So they're starting to get released from the orders that happened months ago. But that is my new quote-unquote dream car. The GTR used to be my dream car. So that I have a lot of videos where I'm talking about the 600 LT against Ferraris, against Lamborghinis, against Porsches, against the GTRs, and against Corvette 01. So if you're interested in other car videos and you're like, oh, what is this 600 LT? You're a GTR guy. I'm a GTR guy. I want to know about this other car that you're into, that to the point that you'd sell your GTR. You should go check out those other videos because it's an amazing car. Or you don't have to watch my videos. Just check out other people's videos on it too, with them driving the car and things like that. But I've done a lot of huge in-depth analysis about how much the car costs, how much it's going to cost to build one, how many there are going to be, when they'll be delivered, and then like really in-depth, not really in-depth analysis, but basic analysis of like the comparison between this and its competitors from those other car companies that I mentioned. So go check out those other videos if you want. And I have an album or whatever with those videos on my channel here. But moving forward, why am I selling my GTR? Well, yeah, it's because of this McLaren 600 LT. And am I actually going to get one? I don't know. And I'll keep talking about I don't know if I'm going to get one, but I'm going to try. But let's keep talking about why I sold my GTR. So, and I want to actually bring up the fact that I'm just going to mention this too. I'm not trying to be a name dropper or sound like I'm really cool. This is just very relevant. If you're in the cars, you probably know who TJ Hunt is. I'm in San Diego and TJ Hunt's in San Diego. I own a computer business, and TJ Hunt is in the same warehouse as Throttle. And Throttle, I've done some work with them recently on Mickey's RX-7 build, and I was on one of his videos, and I helped contribute to his RX-7, and then I also am helping them out with their computer systems and getting them upgraded with newer computers and things like that. So I know those guys over there, and I was over there doing some computer stuff for them, and TJ was there, and I've never met him. That was the first time I met him. Super cool guy, by the way. I think at first he was like a little bit like, I'm not trying to get too involved with random people because, it's a time crunch and he's busy. But he actually ended up coming over and he saw the GTR, and he's kind of in the market for a GTR too. And he took a look at mine and he was like, why are you selling your GTR? Don't sell your GTR. You want to get, and I was like, I want to get a McLaren. He's like, you're gonna regret it. You're gonna regret it, bro, I think is what he said. And if TJ ends up watching this, which I'm sure he won't, but if he did, I don't want people to think I'm like shoving words in TJ's mouth and him thinking like I didn't say it exactly like that. I'm just paraphrasing a conversation we had like a month ago. So he's, like I said, he's a really cool guy, and he had very valid points. He's like, you're gonna regret it. The the daily drivability of the GTR. It's basically like the best daily driver supercar ever made. And you're gonna miss it, and you're gonna, when you have that McLaren and you have to be so careful with all the front splitters and bumps and things on the road, and like every little scratch is expensive. The fragileness of an exotic, that kind of stuff is kind of what he was getting at. You're gonna miss your GTR, and I think he's definitely right. And a longer term goal is to get him something like the McLaren 600 LT, and then also maybe get another GTR for the days or the things I want to do where I need to be a little bit more worried, I guess you would say, about where I'm going to be and scraping and bumping, whatever you want. I don't know. So I would love to get another GTR again. I can't afford them both at the moment because I don't even know if I can afford the McLaren. I'm trying to, right? So anyway, moving on. I want to talk a little bit about why I want a McLaren 600 LT and who I am and my values and things like that, and how this is all kind of awkward for me, but I'll explain that in the rest of the. So if you rewind back years and years ago, I'm 33 now. I was once, a teenager obsessed with cars and playing video games, and as you can imagine, I probably was playing Gran Turismo and learned, oh, what is this Skyline? R34 Skyline GTR. It's so cool looking. It sounds so awesome. It handles so amazing. I want to learn everything about it now, and I became obsessed with the R34 GTR. So I also was really into JDM cars at the time, and my first car I wanted to get when I was 16 was a 300ZX. That was my dream car, but insurance ended up being so crazy I couldn't get one. I got a Jeep Wrangler, which I know is a completely different direction, and that was an amazing first car, by the way. But I digress. So I was really into JDM cars when I was younger, and I always said to myself, I'll never buy a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. I don't want an exotic car. If I had enough money that I could buy a Lamborghini or Ferrari, I'm gonna get a Supra, an RX-7, an NSX, a GTR. I'm gonna get JDM Legends, and I'm gonna have a bunch of cars instead of one really expensive car. That was my 16, 17, 18, 20, even in my 20s. That was my thought process, right? Well, fast forward to today, when I have already purchased an R35 GTR, which is a huge accomplishment for me, as maybe you can imagine, and I've sold it, and I'm working towards something bigger, which is crazy to me to even think that I'm doing that. But I'm in a position where I could go buy a Supra and an NSX and an RX-7. I could do that, but the problem is that I only have one garage, right? And in my garage, I have 2 parking spots. And one of the parking spots is designated for me, and one is for my wife. And she has an electric car, and she has to charge inside the garage. So it's not like, hey, babe, I'm gonna need you to kick your car out of the garage because, I need to have a McLaren and a GTR or whatever insert stuff, or I need to have a Supra and an NSX in the garage. I'm not gonna park that stuff on the street. I'm not gonna have an NSX, a Supra, and RX-7 out on my street in front of my house. Like, talk about a Target. People driving by, seeing all those cars in the street. It'd just be asking for so much trouble. So now I'm in that position, right? I've got the one spot in my garage where a car is going to safely be parked, and also, another point I wanted to make similar to this is, now that I'm older and I've owned a lot of cars now, I've also been in positions where I've owned variety of cars. Like right now, I guess a week ago when I had my GTR, I think I had 5 different cars all at once. So what I've found is that when you have a lot of cars and some of them start to not get driven as much, those cars that don't get driven develop problems. I had a BMW X5 35 diesel, great SUV. But once I got my Raptor, I stopped driving the X5 and I put it up for sale, and it just kept having problems. Check engine light after check engine light. Oh, this little sensor failed. This tank eroded. All these things kept happening, and everyone I would talk to at the BMW dealerships and other places, car guys, like, oh yeah, if you're not driving it, that's what happens when you don't drive a car. Totally agree. I'm like, yeah, maybe I could have started it every day, and then maybe a lot of these problems wouldn't have happened. But I don't have time to go out. I've got 2 kids, a business. I don't want to go out into my driveway and start a car up, and if I have 4 cars, start each car up every day. That's something I don't have time for. I know that doesn't sound like it would be a lot of time, but it's one more thing to do, and I have a lot of things to do every day. I'm not trying to complain. That's just, I'm being realistic. I don't want to do that. If I'm saying I don't want to do it, then I'm not going to do it if I try, right? So those are some more reasons why I started leaning away from getting a bunch of JDM Legends and keeping my GTR and just getting, adding a Supra and some other stuff. So, and then the McLaren 600 LT was just really screaming to me. There was something about it that was just like calling my name. I don't know how to explain it. Just like the GTR did. The GTR was like really like something about it. Oh man, I knew it was me. It fit me. It was my personality. And the 600 LT just is kind of giving me the same vibe. The only thing about it that I don't really like are actually the doors. So I love the doors. I love how they look, but I don't want to be that guy at the gas station with this door up in the air. It's like, oh hey guys, I'm so cool. Look at me. I'm so cool. I have a $200,000 car. I'm rich. Like, and I'm not rich, but I save my money and blah blah blah. Right. So, but I don't want to be that guy. And if I get one, I kind of am, and I'm gonna probably be like the. I'm not usually shy, but it's gonna draw a lot of attention opening a door like that, right? So, and that's actually my wife. My wife's looking at getting a new SUV to replace her Tesla, and we looked at the Model X Tesla, which has the back gull-wing doors, and it was one of the main points that her and I both didn't like about the car, is how showy those gull-wing doors are. I know it's very functional and it's really easy to get in with those gull-wing doors, but like it's gonna be like a car we take our kids to school, and we're gonna be like those parents, whatever I don't even know what you want, snarky, snobby looking parents that drop their kid off at school, like, oh hi, bye honey, and they got their gull-wing door up in there looking like they're trying to be famous or whatever. And so that's my problem, is like I am like a t-shirt, hat, shorts kind of guy. I'm very casual. I'm not wearing suits. I'm not wearing Gucci clothes and all that stuff. Like, that's not me. I'm not flashy. Overall, I'm not a flashy guy. I happen to like some things that are probably a little bit flashy, like a GTR. But GTR is not that flashy, really. But a McLaren is definitely flashy, and that's going to be by far the most flashy thing I ever own if I get one. So I guess that's kind of like is me like telling you kind of about my roots and where I'm coming from and the type of person I am. And why that's what the awkwardness I said a minute ago. That's why this whole McLaren goal is a little bit awkward. And but it doesn't mean I don't want to do it. So that's I still want to do it. It's just gonna be different and new for me, and that's fine. Fine to try. Maybe I won't like it. I also want to mention that this whole thing, the biggest part about this whole like explaining my side about who I am and stuff, there's a bigger picture, a bigger component to that whole piece, and that's goals, having goals. So I kind of mentioned this already. I wanted a GTR a long time ago when I was a teenager. I always wanted. So like as I got older and I got a job, I graduated college and I got a job. I bought or actually someone gave this to me. I got a remote controlled GTR. It was really big. It's like I wish I could. I'll just it was really big. It was a very large size remote controlled GTR, and it was silver like the GTR that I had. And I didn't really drive. I guess I probably drove around the first day I got it, but I just kept it on my desk, and it's still on my desk right now. And I've had that for probably 10 years or whatever. And that was just that was on my desk, and it was a reminder of that's your goal. You want a Nissan GTR, and your goal is right in front of your face at work. It sits right next to my computer monitor, so I could see it every day at work. And it was there before I got my GTR, and it's still there later. But having a goal is super super important, as I've learned over the years, because when I got that GTR little model thing, I don't want to say exactly how much money I was making at the time, but it was nothing. It wasn't nothing. For some people, it probably would still be a lot, because everyone has a different situation and lives in different areas. But I live in San Diego, California, and living is really expensive, and so everything is more expensive here. And I was basically just able to pay all my bills barely, and maybe have a little bit of money. I was single, so I could still go out and have drinks and stuff with my friends a little bit, but I couldn't, like, I wasn't going to Vegas and doing anything like that because I couldn't afford it. So as time went by, I got a new job, and all of a sudden I was making a lot more money, because I was a commission based job, and performance was high. New job, so it was like, wow, things are really changing fast. But then my wife and I got married, and we had a wedding we had to pay for. And then we had a kid, and that's expensive. And then we bought a house. And so, right before I bought the house, I'd saved up a lot of money, and it was enough to buy a GTR outright. And it went from, wow, I'm going to get a GTR. This is a real thing, to we're buying a house, and every dollar that I've saved is going into the down payment, and I have no money. And I have a mortgage payment on top of that I have to pay. So that was a little bit disheartening, but it's life, right? You know, a kid and a house is definitely more important than um, unless you're Stradman, which is fine. I'm not dissing you, Stradman. If you were watching this, I'm sure you're not. But anyway, so I got another job, an even better job, and was still on commission and doing even better than I did at the last company. And I was like, wow, this is nuts. This is nuts. I'm saving a lot of money really fast. And boom, GTR, got it. Super excited. I was really worried that when I got the GTR that I had hyped myself up for all of these years, and that I was gonna be disappointed, because I was coming from a Z06 Corvette that was heavily modified, and it was really fast, and I just thought like, oh, what if the GTR feels slow, and what if I hype myself up? It's like, you know, someone tells you a movie is so good, it's the best movie they've ever seen in their life, and then you go see it and you're like, oh man, that Avengers movie wasn't quite as good as I thought it was going to be. They said it was going to be the best movie of all time, and sometimes you hype yourself up. That didn't happen. It was better than I thought it was going to be. The GTR is my GTR was by far the best car I've ever owned, by far. And so that, and other sports cars I had were a twin turbo 350Z, a twin turbo BMW 335i sedan, and a single turbo 135i, and then that Z06 I said. I've had some other cars, but those are like the most notable sports cars I've owned. GTR just blew every car I've ever been in out of the water by a lot. It is such a good car. So, you know, once I got it, that was just such a good feeling. But the problem is that it was so amazing that I didn't think I ever wanted anything else, except maybe another GTR. Oh, maybe the new GTR is going to come out soon, and I'll sell my GTR. That was my plan probably a year, maybe 2 years ago. I was like, oh, maybe the new one will get announced, and I'll sell my GTR and get the new one, so I can have something to work for. But the rumors just kept not really coming out, and there's still today. I mean, there's a lot of rumors, but there's no solid this is new GTR coming out in 2020 or 2021. There's nothing really. So, but there is a 600 LT, and that's so I about a year ago I thought to myself, Alex, you need a new goal, because you're not you need to work hard, and you need something to work hard for. And how did you get that GTR? You had a goal, you set the goal, you worked hard, you attained the goal. You need to set a new one. And so my first goal was the Ford GT, which is like $500,000. And I kind of like thought, oh, I should set the goal crazy high, because then it'll be kind of like how the GTR was for me back when I set that goal. So that is a Ford GT is what I was thinking. And that's a totally unreasonable goal that exactly how I would think. I don't think I would ever be able to buy that car. But you never know, right? So that's the idea, is you never know. But then the 600 LT got announced earlier this year, and it's half the price of the Ford GT, which is still way out of my price range, but it's also a lot more obtainable. And I was like, well, I think I'd rather have a 600 LT than a Ford GT for the amounts of money that they cost. So that became my new goal. X'd out the Ford GT. McLaren 600 LT took over as the new goal, and I've been grinding toward that goal ever since, making these videos. Selling my GTR is the big first step, so I have the down payment. So selling my GTR, and actually that's kind of my segue into the next thing. I bought my GTR for $67,000 about 3 years ago, and I sold it for 64, which was a little bit less than I was expecting. I was thinking originally I was probably going to get closer to 70, but the front bumper needed to be repainted, and the guy negotiated me down, and so that's fine. 64 is what I sold it for. Talk about holding its value. I mean, that's great. So that's how much I sold it for. I had paid it off, and so that's a lot of money for a down payment. But if I showed you calculators for how much 600 LT costs, even with that much money as a down payment, you will quickly see that it's like, if I put $64,000 as my down payment on a 600 LT, I think it'll be like a $5,000 monthly payment on a 6-year. I mean, I'm not gonna do a $5,000. That's insane. More than my mortgage that split between my wife and I. So, but what would be more reasonable is if I could put a lot more money down, which is all going to come down to how my business does at the end of this year, how much we sell, how much our profits are, how much I have to pay in taxes. So probably in January or February, I'll be doing a better assessment of how much money I have accessible to myself that I can remove from the business, but it's still leaving enough money for my business to purchase more equipment. And then the other thing is, which is like, this is like a blast from the past, is do I want to not buy the 600 LT and put my money towards a down payment on a warehouse for my business instead of paying rent? Because I could, if I did that, if I bought a warehouse, I could get a bigger warehouse with about the same monthly. Instead of paying rent for as much as I'm paying right now for a small warehouse, I could get a warehouse about 5 times bigger, own it. Be a very smart financial decision. Maybe a little too smart. I'm not. I like to make some aggressive decisions too. So I'll really have to think about all that stuff up in the next few months, and hopefully I can fit in as much stuff as possible. Hopefully I can start. Maybe I just decide I've only been in business for 2 years with my business, so I think that buying the warehouse is a little early, and I do think that maybe next year harder to do it, especially from the standpoint of getting a loan, whatever you want to call it, for the building. So I think that it'll be hard to get a good interest rate for business for 2 years. And sorry if I'm making this video too long. I just had a lot to talk about. So I still have more to talk about. So I didn't have to pay any maintenance on my GTR while I owned it, just tires and brakes. Nothing ever broke. Great. 3 years, great car. I think that's unusual for a supercar. I like to say, I want to be very clear, the GTR, in my opinion, is 100% a supercar. It is not an exotic supercar, but it is a supercar. I put that in the same boat as the Z06 and the GR1 from Corvette. Same price point, they both perform similar. I would always take a GTR over Corvette after I. Next thing I want to talk about is launching the GTR. So the reason why I want to talk about this is because it made such a difference to the enjoyment of the car. Even though I loved the car when I got it, and I didn't learn how to launch it for probably like 5 months or something. I owned it. My neighbor's brother came over because he owns a GTR also, and he was like, "Oh man, how much do you launch it?" And I was like, "I've never launched it. I actually didn't know how to launch it. I thought that it was just like you floor it." But so for anyone that's a GTR owner and you want to know how to launch it, this is how you launch a GTR. So I'm gonna move the video over here because I had recorded this and the audio is all out of sync. Make sure the audio is turned off. So I will just tell you what I'm doing on the screen here. So these are the 3 switches in the GTR. You push all 3 switches up, so the red light comes on for R mode. You can do 1 switch at a time, or you can use 3 fingers like that and push them all at the same time. I like doing it that way. Next thing you do is you need to make sure your engine is warm all the way. If you just jump in your car and you just turn it on, it's not going to work. Launch mode only works on the motor. So next thing, and then you have to do the process to do this has to be exactly what I'm saying. Pull here. So you have your left foot on the brake, which I know is weird. Left foot on the brake, right foot on the gas. Put your brake all the way to the floor, 100% brake pressure. Then you put the gas pedal all the way to the 100% wide open throttle. The RPMs will go up to 4,100, and they'll just go da 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 da. They'll stick at 4,100. Then you have about 3 seconds where you can launch the car. If you don't launch the car within those 3 seconds or whatever it is, it might be 2 or 5 seconds, something like that. It cancels the launch sequence and like bogs the whole car down, and it feels terrible. Don't do it. Just launch it. Don't cancel your launch. So the next thing though, so let me reiterate this. So brake pedal 100%, gas pedal 100%. The RPM goes to 4,100. You let off the brake. And when you let off the brake, you have to take your foot all the way off the brake. Move it somewhere else. You can't touch the brake pedal again. If you touch the brake pedal 0.5% and tap the brake pedal, it cancels the launch. And you don't want to. I just said you don't want to cancel your launch, right? Don't cancel your launch. It feels so terrible. And then if you so now you have to keep your foot 100% down, wide open throttle to launch the car. If this is all the way down, or I don't know how to show this on the camera. If this is all the way down on the gas pedal, and you go like a little bit up, just a little bit for even a second, it cancels the launch. So reiterating this one more time: brake pedal all the way down, gas pedal all the way down, 4,100 RPMs, gas pedal all the way off, foot all the way down still forever. Don't let you can't let go or it cancels the launch. And the launch feels amazing. It's the best feeling thing you can do in the GTR, probably other than tracking the car, which I never did. Sorry, you hate on me, but I just didn't have the time to do it. I would have loved to do it, but launching the car is amazing. I wish I would have been able to do it more often, but you have to have a like a good wide open road with no one around, all that stuff, to do it safely. But I actually have a model car here. This is my son plays with these all the time. This is the GTR, and it's one of those wind up cars. So you put the wheels back, and I don't know if you hear that. Oh, I'll do it over here by the microphone. It spins, right? That's similar feeling to a launch. It feels like there's a spring winding up inside the car, and when you release the launch, it just propels you forward. It feels amazing. And if it cancels, it feels terrible, as I mentioned. But that's what it feels like, is a spring winding up inside the axle. So anyway, that's launching, and then I want to talk about these switches again right here. So I watched a lot of videos on like Motor Trend or where the other Motor Trend and Road and Track. All those guys have like their YouTube channels now, and I watched some videos where people, I forgot, it's like the guy with the big beard, and I don't remember what their names are, but there's the guy with the big beard, and he was doing a review on the GTR, and he was complaining about the delay from when he presses the gas pedal all the way down and when the car actually decides it's going. And I think he did a really bad review. People can correct me if I'm wrong, but I know exactly the feeling that he's talking about, and to me it sounds like he's driving the car with these switches right here not turned on the R mode. So like, right there, all three lights should be on. If you're doing a car review on a sports car and you're driving on like windy roads, absolutely no way in hell should you be driving this car with anything off of R mode. No way. Like, you have to be smoking crack to think that that's the right way to drive the car. And maybe people are gonna, like I said, maybe people are gonna, oh yeah, I watched that video and he definitely had an R mode. But the symptom he's describing, that lag, is exactly the lag that happens in the car when you're not in R mode. Because when you're not in R mode, you're in like what I just call Camry mode. It drives like a Camry, which is fine. It's just driving around town, going to go get some groceries, and you're not driving fast. You're just chilling. Maybe you're tired. And you don't want to drive fast. Whatever. Insert reason why you're not interested in driving fast right now. And that's what's great about this car, is it can be a crazy beast or it can be a Camry. So I feel like they were in Camry mode because the lag between the gas pedal when you press the pedal all the way down and it taking off, when you're in R mode, is like zero. You press the gas pedal down and the car goes just like you'd expect it to. But when you're not in R mode, there's a huge lag and it's really annoying. But you're not in R mode. It takes, how long does it take to put in an R mode? And how do these guys not know? So I just want to say, like, if you're thinking about getting a GTR, talk to guys that own GTRs. Go on GTR forums. Maybe find someone that will let you drive theirs if you're lucky, on a forum, like a local guy. Because if you just go to the dealership, they don't usually know about GTRs very much. And if you watch some of those videos, they don't know what they're doing either. So let's see. I know I'm almost done with the video. I want to mention that the back seats in the GTR are definitely usable. They're really small and they do suck, but in a pinch, yeah, a full-size adult can fit back there. I've done it with my friends. I had two adult men in the back seats and me in the front, and my another friend in the front, 4 dudes in the car. Done it. Yeah, it's not super comfortable to do it, but it works. Also, I have 2 little kids. They have to sit in car seats. Car seats totally fit in the back too. I've done it. My kids love it. They love being back there. The transmission on the GTR was a big kind of question mark for me because I love manual transmission and I've never been a huge fan of automatic. This is the first automatic transmission car that I've been like, wow, this is great. And it really surprised me because I wasn't super pumped on the automatic transmission, but it's loud and clunky, and the car is so fast that sometimes you are kind of happy that you don't need to shift. And the paddles are really nicely mounted and they feel really crisp and good when you use them. So manual mode and automatic mode are both great. And it gave me, as much as I hate to say it, it made me like some automatic transmissions a little bit more than I thought I ever would. And then I just wanted to show you a couple pictures that I kind of just popped up here. So I was in the showroom for when I was getting the tire pressure thing, the flat tire light turned off the other day. I was in the dealership. They had a 2018 GTR, which I did a video on these. I think they're really overpriced because they're like 180 grand. I don't think you get enough car for your money for that extra 80 grand over the regular version, but they do look cool, and it's something to drool over. Look at all that carbon fiber on the front bumper. Motor looks pretty much exactly the same as our regular GTR, just with the black and red. I think that's called a plenum cover. And a couple more shots. There's the Nismo wheels. And that's just a picture of my M Coupe. That's not special. And then I was over. So the day I sold my GTR, I drove up to Orange County. And as I mentioned, I own a computer business. I do business with a company called Gigabyte. They sell video cards and motherboards and laptops and stuff. And I had an order I had to pick up. So because I needed a ride back after I sold my GTR, I just had my buddy drive my Raptor. And so we both drove up to Gigabyte, which is like in Los Angeles on the border of like LA and Orange County, Roland Heights. And we drove there, grabbed the equipment, put it in my Raptor, and then we both drove to drop off the GTR, and then we drove back to San Diego. But when I was at Gigabyte, they have a Nismo GTR with Oris. Oris is their gaming branding that they like to do on a lot of their stuff. So they have an Oris Gigabyte GTR here, and they have the Oris license plate. So it's pretty cool to see that. I mean, it's a cool company car for marketing and stuff, I'm sure. And I'm just assuming, some sort of a vice president or CEO or something like that owns the car. Probably not CEO, because I think they're like a Taiwanese-based company, so the CEO is probably in Taiwan. But maybe someone really high up, maybe the manager of the whole U.S. operation or something like that, or maybe it's just the marketing team. They just drive it, gets swapped around. I don't know, but it's really cool, right? So I just wanted to mention that. And then I just wanted to leave on this note. Will I actually be getting a McLaren 600 LT? I don't know. Do I want to get one? Will I actually be able to afford it? I don't know. The math that I worked out shows that I want to have such a big down payment. Such a big down payment that I don't know if I'll have that much to feel comfortable, because I don't want my payment to be too high. One of the angles I'm working is that I'd like to start a used car dealership or business, have a couple cars, and then buy a used 600 LT, not have to pay the tax, which not having to pay the tax is like a huge chunk of money. Sell the car at the end of the year so I don't have to pay taxes on the inventory of it, and then maybe buy either another 600 LT the next year, or buy another sports car, that maybe a 720S or something the year after that. That's a cool plan. That could make the car less expensive. But if it just doesn't work out and the numbers just don't work out and I can't afford it, would I get another GTR? Hell yeah, I would get another GTR. So that's definitely something to think about too. And if Nissan in the next few months or whatever says, hey, here comes the new GTR, it's coming out in 2020, 2021, would I start working maybe towards that instead of a 600 LT? Maybe. That's always possible. I don't really know. But here's what I want to leave you with. It's a long video. If you stay this long, here's what I want to leave you with. If you also want to buy a GTR and you're financially, you can't buy one right now, but you're a goal for you, I'm here to tell you that is something that you can do. I was a kid, not a kid, I was a 20-something-year-old, not making very much money with that goal, and I was able to work really hard and set that as a goal and get there. And you can too. You just have to work hard and make connections and network with people and move up in your career. Don't settle for your job you have right now. Continue to climb ladders within your company and shop at other companies, make more money. And so yeah, whether you want to get a GTR or whether you want to get a McLaren 600 LT, you're just like me, or maybe you want a Ford GT or a McLaren Senna, whatever. Set your goals and work toward them. Work hard. If you like this video, please comment, subscribe, and like the video. Click the like button. Anyway, thanks, and see you on the next one.